Every morning, before the sun rises, Amina ties her worn-out shoes and kisses her sleeping children goodbye. She steps out of her small apartment, holding a cheap water bottle and a packed sandwich in a brown paper bag. The air is cold. The streets are empty. But Amina begins her 20-mile walk to work without hesitation. She walks past shops, schools, gas stations, and long stretches of road where no one else walks. People in cars zoom past her, never noticing the tired woman on the side of the road. Some laugh when they see her. Others shake their heads, wondering why someone would walk such a long distance. But Amina doesn't stop. Her face is calm, but her eyes show pain and purpose. Every step she takes is heavy, not just because of the distance, but because of the weight of her responsibilities. She is a single mother. She has no car, no support. But she has 2 children who depend on her. At the corner of Maple Street and Fifth Avenue, a police car often parks near the bakery. Officer Ali, a quiet but observant man, usually sits there to monitor traffic. For the last 2 weeks he has noticed the same woman walking by around 5:30 a.m. At first he thought she was going for exercise. But who exercises in old clothes and worn-out shoes? Then he assumed she was homeless. But every day she passed by looking neat, carrying the same small bag, always heading in the same direction. One morning, Officer Ali finally asked his partner, "Have you seen that woman walking past every day?" His partner shrugged. "Probably someone going to the bus stop." "But there's no bus stop that way for miles," Ali replied, confused. That day, Officer Ali couldn't stop thinking about the woman. There was something different about her. Walk. She wasn't slow or lazy. She walked with determination, like someone with no other choice. The next morning he arrived earlier and waited. Just as expected, at 5:32 a.m., she appeared, walking fast, head down, breathing slow and steady. Ali followed her with his eyes. She didn't look up. She didn't stop. She didn't even take out her phone. His curiosity grew stronger. "She walks every single day," he whispered to himself. 20 miles. That's not normal. The following day, Officer Ali parked his car a few blocks away and got out. He didn't want her to notice him in uniform. Wearing plain clothes, he stayed on the other side of the street, walking behind. Her at a safe distance, Amina didn't notice. She was too focused on her journey. As the minutes passed, Ali watched her carefully. She stopped only once to drink water and rub her ankle. Then she stood up again and continued walking like nothing happened. An hour passed, then 2. They passed empty bus stops, a closed-down diner, and long roads without sidewalks. Still, Amina kept moving. Ali felt tired just walking behind her. He was a trained officer, but even he couldn't believe the distance she was covering. And she did this every day? At mile 12, Amina wiped her forehead and opened her bag. She took out a photo just for a second and smiled at it before placing it back. Ali couldn't see the photo, but he guessed it was her children. That smile. It was soft but full of sadness. Suddenly Ali stopped in his tracks. This isn't just a walk, he thought. This is survival. He looked around. No one else was watching her. No one else cared. She was just a quiet woman with a strong heart, fighting alone. And then the real question hit him hard. Why? Why does she walk 20 miles every day? Why not ask for help? Why not complain? Why suffer in silence? Officer Ali decided something in that moment. Tomorrow he would follow her. All the way. Not to arrest her, not to question her, but to understand her. Maybe she didn't want anyone to notice, but someone had to. That night he couldn't sleep. The image of Amina's tired legs, her silent strength, and that quick smile wouldn't leave his mind. He checked his watch again. 32, he'd be ready, because tomorrow he would walk with her, and maybe, just maybe, he'd find out the truth behind her long, painful journey. The next morning, Officer Ali stood outside his car wearing plain clothes again. His eyes were fixed on the corner where Amina always appeared. At 5:32 a.m. sharp she came, just like yesterday. Same calm face, same tired eyes, same determined walk. This time Ali didn't follow from far behind. He crossed the street and started walking beside her, pretending to be just another early walker. Amina noticed him but didn't say anything. She kept her eyes ahead. They walked in silence for nearly 5 minutes. Then, gently, Officer Ali said, "You walk fast." Amina glanced at him but didn't smile. "I have to." "You always walk this far?" he asked. She hesitated, then nodded. "Every day." Ali tried not to sound too curious. "Work?" "Yes." "Where?" "Sunrise Diner. It's 20 miles from here." Ali was shocked. He already knew that, but hearing it from her mouth made it real. "You don't have a car?" he asked. She shook her head. "Can't afford one." He paused, then asked, "Why not take the bus?" Amina looked away. No bus goes that far at this time. And even if it did, bus passes cost money. Ali's heart sank a little. They kept walking. Now he noticed things he hadn't before. How carefully Amina avoided broken sidewalks. How she rubbed her ankle when she thought he wasn't looking. How her breathing got heavier around mile 7. "You've been doing this long?" he asked. 8 months. Ali blinked. 8 months. Every day. Yes. He couldn't believe it. That meant over 600 miles every month. On foot. Rain, sun, or cold. No excuses. No complaints. "Don't your feet hurt?" She gave a small, tired smile. "They used to, now they just go numb." Ali didn't know what to say. "Why not find a job closer?" he asked softly. Amina's voice was low. "Sunrise is the only one that gave me a chance. Most places, they look at me and say no. A single mom with 2 kids, no car, no degree. I'm not what they want." There was silence between them now. Ali watched her shoes. The soles were nearly flat, the edges torn. Her socks had small holes. Still, she walked without asking for pity. She wasn't walking for fun. She was walking for survival. As they passed a small grocery store, Amina finally asked, "Why are you walking?" Ali smiled nervously. I've seen you many times. I was curious, wanted to know your story." Amina stopped for a second. "Most people just stare or laugh." "I didn't want to do that," Ali said gently. I wanted to understand. They started walking again. Ali noticed how quiet she was, not because she was shy, but because she had learned to keep her pain inside. The world had taught her that no one listens, so she stopped speaking. They crossed the halfway point. Her legs were slower now. She winced sometimes but kept walking. Ali offered her water. She took it, nodded thanks, and kept moving. "You have kids?" Ali asked. She smiled again, this time brighter. "Two, a boy and a girl, Malik and Aliyah. They know you walked this far?" "They try to stop me," she said. "But I tell them, this is what moms do, we keep going." Ali's throat tightened. "What does your daughter want to be when she grows up?" "A doctor. She wants to help people who can't afford care." Ali nodded. "Like her mom helps people who can't afford to quit." Amina gave a soft laugh. "Something like that." By mile 15, her pace slowed. Her limp got worse. Ali wanted to offer to call her a ride, but he knew she'd say no. This walk wasn't just about getting to work. It was about pride. It was about showing the world she wouldn't give up. At mile 18, the sun began to rise. Orange light touched the sky. Birds sang above them. "You okay?" Ali asked. Amina nodded. "Almost there." 2 miles later, the sign for Sunrise Diner appeared. Amina straightened her back, fixed her clothes, and wiped her face. "I don't want my manager to see me looking tired," she said. Ali was stunned. After all that, she still cared about her image. She turned to him. "Thanks for walking with me." "You're amazing," he said. "I had no idea." Amina looked him in the eye. "Most people don't." She opened the door to the diner and disappeared inside. Ali stood outside, speechless. But deep inside, something had changed. He knew he had to do something. Officer Ali sat in his car, parked near the Sunrise Diner. He watched through the window as Amina put on her apron and started her shift. She smiled at customers and worked hard like nothing was wrong. But he knew the truth now. She had walked 20 miles just to get here. Ali couldn't forget what he saw. The blisters on her feet, her torn shoes, her quiet strength. It stayed in his mind all day. That evening, Ali sat at his small desk at the police station. He stared at a blank notepad. "I have to help her," he said to himself. But how? He couldn't just give her money. Amina didn't seem like the type to accept charity. She had too much pride for that. And honestly, she didn't need pity. She needed respect. So Ali came up with a different idea. He reached out to a local news reporter, Sarah, who often covered stories about real people. "I have something you need to see," he told her. The next morning, he met Sarah outside the diner and told her everything. About Amina, the walk, the job, the kids. Sarah was shocked. "She walks 40 miles a day just to survive." Ali nodded. "She's not asking for help, but maybe she deserves some." Sarah agreed. "We'll do a story, but we'll be respectful." Ali smiled. "That's all I want." That night, the news crew set up quietly near Amina's street. They didn't film her face or make her feel watched. Instead, they captured the long, quiet walk. They showed her shoes, her pace, the way she walked alone while the world still slept. Sarah wrote the story with care. The title read, "The Woman Who Walks 20 Miles for a Chance to Feed Her Kids." The next morning, the story went live. Ali watched it spread like wildfire. Thousands of people saw the video. Then millions. Everyone had the same reaction. How is this woman so strong? People from all over the country started asking how they could help. Some offered shoes, some offered jobs, some offered to buy her a car. One man even offered to pay for her kids' school fees. But Ali knew what mattered most was how Amina would feel. He knocked on her door that evening. She opened the door, surprised. "Officer Ali, what are you doing?" "Here?" Ali smiled. "Just wanted to check in." Amina laughed a little. "You walked 20 miles for that?" Ali shook his head. "No, I drove, but I came to tell you something." She looked confused. "What?" Ali took a deep breath. "You're famous now." Amina blinked. "Excuse me?" He handed her his phone. On the screen was the news video. Her story, her walk, the kind comments, the offers for help. Amina covered her mouth. "Is this about me?" Ali nodded. "People saw what I saw, and they want to help." Tears filled her eyes. "But I didn't ask for this." "I know," Ali said gently. "That's why it's real. You didn't ask, but you inspired them anyway." She sat down on her small couch. Her kids came in from the next room, asking what was happening. Amina showed them the video. They smiled. Aliyah hugged her. Malik clapped. "Mom, you're a hero," Malik shouted. Amina laughed, wiping her tears. "I'm just your mom." "No," Officer Ali said softly. "You're something more. You're a fighter, and people saw that." She looked at him, still unsure. "So what happens now?" Ali smiled. "That's up to you. But one thing's for sure." He pulled something from his pocket. It was a key. "A local dealership saw the story. They gave you this." Amina's eyes widened. "What is it?" "It's the key to a used car. It's not new, but it's yours. Fully paid." Amina gasped. I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," Ali said. "Just know you don't have to walk anymore." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "Thank you. I thought no one saw me." Ali nodded. "We see you now." Amina sat on the edge of her couch, still holding the car key Officer Ali had given her. Her heart was full. She looked at her kids, who were laughing and jumping with joy. "Mama, no more walking in the dark." Malik cheered. Aliyah hugged her. "We're so proud of you." Amina smiled through tears. "I still can't believe this is happening." The next morning, Amina drove her new car for the first time. It wasn't fancy, but it was clean and ran well. She didn't have to walk anymore. Her feet didn't hurt. She could finally drop. Her kids at school and still reach the diner on time. When she pulled up to the diner parking lot, her co-workers stood outside, clapping. "Amina, you're on the news," one of them shouted. She smiled shyly and waved. The manager, Mr. Jenkins, came forward. "Why didn't you ever tell us about your walk?" Amina shrugged. "It wasn't something to brag about. It was just life." Mr. Jenkins looked guilty. "We should have noticed. I'm sorry." Amina shook her head. "You gave me a job when I needed it. That was enough." Later, during her lunch break, the diner phone rang. Mr. Jenkins answered, then looked over at her. Amina, it's for you. She picked up the phone, unsure who it could be. Hello? A soft voice answered. Hi, my name is Laura. I run a non-profit that helps single moms. I saw your story, and I'd love to speak with you. Amina was stunned. Oh, sure. They spoke for 10 minutes. Laura told her about programs that offered job training, free childcare, and scholarships. I think you're more than a waitress, Amina. I think you're a leader, Laura said warmly. That night, Amina sat at her small table looking at her kids as they did homework. Life had changed. People saw her now, and not as someone weak, but someone brave. She picked up her phone and opened the video story again. The views were now over 2 million. The comments were full of support. She's a real hero. Single moms are the backbone of this country. She walked for her kids. That's strength. But not everyone was happy. The next day, a group of local officers called a meeting at the police station. Why did you do it, Ali? One of them asked. That story makes us look bad. Officer Ali stood firm. We didn't do anything wrong, but we didn't do anything right either. Another officer shook his head. You should have just left it alone, Ali replied. No. Amina walked right past our station every morning. We never asked why. That was our failure. Outside the station, something surprising happened. A crowd had gathered. People who had seen the story came with signs. We walk with Amina, respect the working mother, heroes wear aprons. Amina didn't know they were doing this. She only found out when Officer Ali sent her a photo. She stared at the screen, speechless. This is for me. Ali sent a voice note. You gave people hope, Amina. They're standing up now because you stood alone for so long. That night, as the kids slept, Amina stood by the window. The moonlight shone on the car parked outside. She whispered to herself, I was invisible. But not anymore. Her phone buzzed again. It was a message from the local mayor's office. We'd like to invite you to speak at our Women's Empowerment event next month. Amina blinked in shock. Me? Speak? The message continued. Your story has touched lives. We want others to hear your strength. She held the phone to her chest and smiled. She had once walked in the dark with no one by her side. Now the world was walking with her. The day of the event had finally come. Amina stood behind the curtains of the city auditorium. She wore a simple blue dress and small gold earrings. Her hands were shaking. Her heart was beating fast. She peeked through the curtain. Hundreds of people sat in the audience. News cameras were in the back. On stage, a large banner read, Women's Empowerment Day, honoring local heroes. Her name was printed right below it. Guest speaker, Amina Hassan. Amina couldn't believe it. A few weeks ago, she was walking 20 miles to work with tired feet and no one noticing her. Now the whole city wanted to hear her speak. Officer Ali came backstage to check on her. You ready? He asked with a smile. No, Amina laughed nervously. What if I mess up? I'm not a speaker, I'm just a waitress. Ali looked her in the eyes. You're not just anything. You're a mother, a fighter, and now a symbol of strength. Just tell them your truth. A woman from the mayor's office called out, Amina, you're up. She took a deep breath, fixed her headscarf, and walked out into the bright lights. The crowd clapped loudly. Amina stood at the podium, her voice trembling at first. Hello, everyone. My name is Amina. I'm a single mother of 2, and I used to walk 20 miles every day to work. Gasps filled the room, she continued. Not because I wanted to, but because I had to. My kids needed food, clothes, school supplies. I didn't have a car, and I didn't want pity. I just wanted to survive. She looked down for a second, then raised her head with strength. People laughed at me, cars passed me without stopping. But I kept walking, I kept believing. And one day, someone noticed. That someone was Officer Ali. Everyone turned to look at him. He gave a humble nod. He followed me, not to stop me, but to understand me, and that changed everything. Tears filled Amina's eyes, but her voice grew stronger. I don't stand here because I'm special. I stand here because so many women are walking every day, in silence, in pain, with no one seeing them. The room was completely silent now. If you're one of them, I want you to know your strength matters, your struggle matters, and you are not alone. The crowd rose in applause. Many wiped their tears. The mayor himself stood and clapped. After the event, reporters lined up to speak with Amina. News stations played her speech across the city. That night, when she returned home, she found a surprise. On her doorstep was a large envelope. Inside was a note. You inspired us. Please accept this scholarship for leadership training and a full ride to business school. City Women's Initiative. And under that, a check. Enough to cover school, transportation, and childcare. Amina couldn't hold back her emotions. She had walked for survival. Now she was walking into a new life. Her kids ran to her and hugged her tight. Mama, Malik whispered. Does this mean you're going to college? She nodded. Yes, baby. I'm going back to school. Aaliyah smiled wide. You're going to be a boss, Mama. Amina laughed through happy tears. Not just me, she said. We're all rising together. And for the first time in years, she didn't feel tired. Months passed since Amina gave her speech. Life had changed, but she stayed the same. Kind, hard-working, and humble. She now went to business school 3 days a week and worked part-time at a new cafe closer to home. She no longer walked 20 miles. In fact, the city had gifted her a small used car after her story went viral. But Amina never forgot where she started. One cold morning, as she dropped her kids off at school, Malik asked, Mama, can we give someone a ride someday? Like someone walking? Amina smiled. Yes, baby. We always help others when we can. That afternoon, something strange happened. While Amina was serving coffee, a young girl came into the cafe. She wore old clothes, her shoes were torn, and her cheeks were red from the wind. Can I use your bathroom, please? The girl asked softly. Amina nodded. Of course, sweetheart. When the girl came out, Amina gave her a sandwich and hot cocoa. It's free, she said with a warm smile. The girl looked shocked. No one ever helps me, she whispered. Amina sat with her and asked gently, Are you okay? Do you need help? The girl, whose name was Lila, said she and her mom were staying in a shelter. Her mom had lost her job and they didn't have much food. Amina's heart broke. This girl reminded her of herself years ago. That night, Amina couldn't sleep. She kept thinking of Lila and her mother. By morning, she had a plan. A few weeks later, Amina launched a small program with her school mentor's help. It was called the Walk Forward Project. It helped struggling women with food, transportation, childcare, and job support. She partnered with Officer Ali and the mayor's office to reach more families like Lila's. One evening, at a community center, Amina stood before a group of women and children. "I walked 20 miles because I had no choice," she said. "Now I walk with purpose, and I want to walk beside you." Tears and claps filled the room. As the program grew, something amazing happened. News of Amina's story reached national news again. A big women's organization invited her to Washington, D.C. to speak on TV. At the airport, her kids held her hands proudly. Officer Ali had come to say goodbye before her flight. "You believed in me when no one did," she told him. "You showed me what true strength looks like," he replied. 6 months later, Amina stood at a podium in front of a huge crowd, lights shining on her face. The screen behind her played clips of her walking to work, giving speeches, helping others, and then it showed something new. Lila and her mom, now smiling, living in their own apartment, and Lila going to school with a backpack full of books. Amina's eyes filled with tears. She looked out at the crowd. "This story started with tired feet and empty pockets," she said. "But it ends with full hearts and open doors." The crowd stood and clapped for minutes. Amina had walked alone once. Now she was leading others on a better path. Final scene back in her neighborhood. Amina stood at a bus stop, not to ride it, but to greet others. She handed out warm drinks to people on cold mornings. She smiled at strangers. And one day a young woman came up to her and said, "You don't know me, but I saw your story online. I was about to give up, but you gave me hope." Amina hugged her. "Then that long walk was worth it," she said softly. And just like that, her journey had come full circle, not just for herself, but for everyone who believed in walking forward, no matter how hard the road.